Hey, this is Stevie Batiste from Microsoft, and you're listening to Talknology.
Hey folks, welcome to Talknology for Thursday, November the 1st, sponsored by Your Ears. Well, it's 5:20, the sky is ribbed with darkness, and here we are for the second episode, and let's play it safe and call it Talknology Labs, because it basically means that I can get away with anything, be rather average, and then pretend it never happened in the first place. Now, it's a great day today. It's not a great day and it's a great day, let's put it that way. As you know, with Talknology, I am here, Dave Thackeray, at Dave Thackeray of the Twitter, to answer your tech questions, the burning issues that affect you, to exercise your digital demons, to get rid of all the problems that might be afflicting your computer, to find out things that you need to buy, applications that you need to download, and generally all the great stuff that's going on out there in this pixelated world that we're obsessed with, or at least I am. Let's be honest, it's probably just me around here. So my first answer of the day is yes, there is an absence on this technology tower that is known as Talknology, and that is, unfortunately, Sam can't be with us today. We're hoping to have her back in the most important seat situated by this desk over the next few days. So hang fire, she'll be back, and then you won't have to put up with quite as much of me in the forthcoming episodic schedule. But you don't really have to put up with me a great deal today anyway, because we've got a couple of fantastic guests to talk to you about two great events that are happening in the tech scene that I'm sure you'll be interested in. And when I say events, I mean events in a loose sense. They are things, physical elements of this world of ours. One digital, one physical, so I don't suppose they're even that. So before this thing collapses into a further unholy mess, let me give you a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. First off, the Geek Gift Giving Guide. Then we're going to be moving on to a little bit about Windows 8 Pro offer. Looking forward to talking to you about that. A couple of websites that are brand new in look, based on very familiar brands. I think you should go and check those out. The library service that's at your service with e-readers. And finally, a new way to manage the moment with a fantastic free plugin for your WordPress flavoured website. So, without further ado, let's hit the music and let's get straight into what's ahead. Well, I did promise you that I was going to get straight into it, so let's start round about here. What is this Geek Gift Giving Guide that you're telling us about, Dave? Well, in the spirit of answers, I have plunged into the digital world and found for you a phalanx of great things that should be on the Christmas list of the geek in your life come December the 25th, because that is indeed when Christmas is. I'd be lying to you if I said it was Boxing Day. So the Geek Gift Giving Guide, which should be hashtagged GGGG, as in 4 horses, when you talk about this on Twitter, which I'm hoping you will, is born from the idea that, look, a lot of normal people, and that clearly excludes me, are shaking their heads, scratching their foreheads, figuring out what to buy, the nerdy types, the tech fans who they surround themselves with. Sometimes it might not be a natural choice to have these people surround you, but let's face it, that's what families are for. And basically, there's lots of stuff out there. As you know, over the past few weeks, we've had some huge tech announcements from the likes of Microsoft, Apple, Google, HTC, Samsung. I get higher the more excited I get. I'm going to try and play that down around about now. Where do you go? What do you do? What do you buy? And so that's the idea of the Geek Gift Giving Guide. And today I'm going to be asking one of our guests, Evan Agard of Norwegian origin, to tell us what he recommends that you get in your sites to buy for those that you love of a geek persuasion this Christmas. So get over to talknology.org/GGGG and all will hopefully be revealed. Very exciting initiative there, and I want you to go in there, pitch in, share some of your ideas, because this is the tech community after all, and I don't want you to think that you can just come here and get what you want and leave, because after all, we're here to share and help each other. That should be in the terms and conditions. It's not mandatory, but you're very much encouraged to help out. And so, therefore, at the end of the day, this becomes a resource for all United Kingdom-based personnel who are very keen to understand what's happening in the world of tech. Because after all, that is what Talknology is here for. Get over there, talknology.org/GGGG.
Let's get digital. Digital, I want to get digital. Can you hear my laptop dock?
So I mentioned I'd talk to you about Windows 8 Pro. I've had a lot of practice at it, and it needed it. It's quite a challenging operating system if you come at it from the human race. You don't need to be an expert at Windows 7 to realise just how different it is. And in fact, if we were just going to take the desktop, then it doesn't seem massively different. There are a lot of things under the hood that have changed. For example, and I'm going to go into geek out mode here, if you pressed Windows X, that's the Windows key down the bottom left-hand side of your keyboard, together with X at the same time, concurrently, if you will, then you'll see a little menu appear where the Start button should be. Now, the Start button is absent from Windows 8. I hear you cry. It's a disaster. I don't think we can survive. The human race as we know it will surely end now. But it's not the desktop that I'm talking about. It's the modern UI that some of you may know as Metro. Microsoft aren't allowed to call it that because it's something to do with trademarks or some sort of dispute or something like that. I'm not really interested. And it's also known as the modern UI, or basically live tiles, which is because basically it consists of blocks that represent applications. Now, if you were going to buy the brand new Microsoft Surface RT tablet, that's pretty much all you get, that one modern UI screen without the desktop. There is a desktop in there, but it doesn't function as a fully fledged desktop because Microsoft RT is almost handicapped version, I guess you'd call it, of Microsoft Windows 8 Pro, which is what you'll find sat on desktops. It's not handicapped in the sense that it's restricted accidentally. It's working on a different chip. It's working on a low power chip, the sort of chips that you'll find in tablets like the Microsoft Surface. There's another operating system called Microsoft Windows Phone. Let's not get into it. It's getting complicated, and to be honest with you, my head's shattered already. The reason why I wanted to talk to you about this is it's worth overcoming the challenge, and right now and until January the 31st, 2012, you can upgrade to Microsoft Windows 8 Pro for the ridiculously cheap price of $24.99 in good old English pounds. There is a URL to get you there, but I'm going to make it easy for you today and give you a link. Goes via Talknology. So if you go to talknology.org/buy Windows 8, you'll find where you can download Windows 8 Pro. And, you know, if you've got a fairly fast internet connection, don't want to bray here. I recently got fibre, and it means that I can look at pictures quicker than ever now. Then you'll be able to download it in, say, just about half an hour, and then you'll be able to install it, which takes about another half an hour. Please do bear in mind that you want to make sure that you've backed up all important stuff, because while it does provide a seamless transition from your old Windows operating system to Windows 8, you know, you want to be on the safe side, because this is computers and things do happen. There might be something that's gone rogue on your PC that's causing a bit of hassle. You don't want to get caught without your files when I've told you that you can get a discount on the operating system. That would be bad form, and I'd feel awful. After you've done that, you can also get hold of a free version of Media Center. Now, Media Center isn't included in Windows 8 Pro by default. However, until the end of January, the fine folks at Redmond, that's Microsoft HQ, are offering Media Center for free when you buy Windows 8 Pro for the ridiculously cheap price of $24.99. I'm not an affiliate because Microsoft say I'm not big enough yet. Let's see what we can do about that. So go over to talknology.org/free media after you've installed Windows 8 Pro, and you can type in an email address or something, and it'll send you a product code that you can put into your apps area of Windows 8 Pro, which will in turn install Windows Media Center for you. How about that? You see, it's worth listening to this just for that. I'm pretty impressed. I don't think you are, but tell you what, don't matter, because I'm the one on the microphone.
In websites.
So, about those new websites I was talking to you about on the Hush Hush, it's funny, if you look at the two together, you'd think they were inextricably linked, and they kind of are. They're tech sites for normal people, I would say. But, as you might or might not be aware, the tech community can be quite fierce at times. So some of the comments on these websites can be fairly abrasive, and to be perfectly honest, I was a writer at one of these websites in the past, and I was treated with kid gloves. But now, I tell you what, it's like a boxing ring sometimes, but the content is sound and you don't need to pitch in. The websites in question are Read Write and The Next Web. Read Write used to be known as readwriteweb.com, and they've taken the web out now because it's about much more than the web. The discussion has grown, so now you're looking at readwrite.com. I have a special affinity with this website because I used to run a podcast with Dan Lyons, who formerly known as the fake Steve Jobs. He was tech editor at Newsweek, and he is a thoroughly good egg. Very, very funny and very, very good when it comes to the world of tech. So get yourself over to readwrite.com and check out some of his work, 'cause he's pretty darn good, I've got to tell you. Anyway, he took over as editor-in-chief from the creator, Richard McManus, very, very recently indeed. Over to thenextweb.com, a lot of channels, a lot of interest. The Next Web produce their own magazine, they produce their own conference, they're going places in a big way with European founders. So again, got a special place in my heart for The Next Web. I used to write for those guys as well, so I would recommend any of the content, especially the stuff that I wrote, which probably isn't even there anymore, but nevertheless, worth a visit. thenextweb.com. I had a chat yesterday, actually, with Martin Bryant, who's the managing editor of The Next Web. He and I met at a lovely little place called the Corner House in Manchester. Had a little bit of a chat, but it was fraught with tension because he actually launched the website. His boss Z actually had created it and sent it out, and so there was lots of things that he had to do, and it was a good fun time. It's really great to see the tech world evolving like this, and Martin and the team here in the UK are doing great things, and the UK fundamentally is really changing when it comes to tech. We're starting to really grasp what's going on, and places like The Next Web and ReadWrite, great barometers, great litmus tests of how this industry and how the tech scene is actually affecting all of our lives. So get over there and check those two babies out.
Inspirational.
If your ears are tiring, and thank you, ears, for sponsoring me today, very much impressed, and I appreciate all the time you spend with me, then I don't blame you for wishing the next segments on because they are packed with other people. Get that Dave out of the way and listen to somebody who talks sense. Before you get to that, though, please will you do me the grace of getting over to us at the Twitter, which is Dave Thackeray on Twitter, and just tell me how you're getting on with the show. If you like it, great. If you don't, well, I've got a lot of work to do, and we're going to be here. I'm not going anywhere, so you either listen to me or, well, you listen to me, you're going to come back, They were like this about Chris Evans to start with. He caught his for me, got the trot. So, bear in mind that I am there on Twitter, Dave Thackeray. You can email me if you've got any tech news or if you've got any questions, because this is all about the questions and more specifically the answers to those questions. Get over to talknology.org and ask a question, or you can just email me, dave@talknology.org, or you can get over to facebook.com/talknology, or I've already talked about Twitter. It's starting to get a bit repetitive now, worst thing in radio. That's that for now. And now on to the main part of the show. We've got two fabulous guests. Sarah Curran, who is Libraries Manager at Trafford Council, is going to be talking to us about this little story with the e-readers. Very exciting because it's local to me, but they're the first in the UK to be offering this fantastic new service that drags us kicking and screaming into the future of books. And then we're going to hear from Evan Agard, let's go with Communications Manager. It's been a long day for a company called Timely. That's time.ly. He's the man with more A's than an aardvark. from his Norwegian heritage that I mentioned earlier. Anyway, let's kick off first of all with a quick chat with Sarah to unveil exactly what it is that they're doing over at Trafford.
In news.
Very special guest on Talknology today. We've got Sarah Curran, Libraries Manager from Access Trafford at Trafford Council. Quite a mouthful, but what a treat we've got, because Trafford is the first council in the UK, we think right now, to have introduced a very special service to its members. Using a Kobo e-reader, which are available on loan, people are able to browse and read thousands of books with Trafford Libraries. Sarah, thanks for joining us today. It's great to talk to you.
Hi.
Lovely stuff. Well, I wanted you to just explain to me in brief, because this sounds exciting. We are all very hooked in to e-readers these days, and it's fabulous to see a library service taking the initiative. So tell me the story of how you really got on the road to offering these e-readers to your library members.
Well, we wanted to introduce e-books in Trafford, which isn't particularly new. Lots of library authorities are doing that. But the firm that we're using to do that, you can't use Kindles, which everybody seems to have. So we thought, well, it would be, nice if people could still use our e-book service, whether or not they had a Kindle. So our way round that was to buy some Kobos, which will be compatible with our e-book system, so that people can still use those. They can see if they like the idea of an e-book reader, because a lot of people are still a bit hesitant about, do they want to use that technology rather than have a nice book in the hands. So we thought this would be a good way around and introduce people to the new technology. So
far, so good. I have to say, I know a lot of people are reticent, like you mentioned, about making the conversion to the dark side from those libraries of proper books to what we have now mostly in our hands. And I know e-books are bypassing books in terms of popularity, flying off the virtual shelves. What's the feedback been like so far, Sarah? Because it is early days, isn't it, for you?
It is. We've just been doing it for a couple of weeks. We've been really impressed with how many have gone out so far. And people are using them for different reasons. A few people have said they want to try before they buy, so, do they actually want to do this? But most of them seem to be genuinely interested in this technology and seeing what it's like. And, of course, you can do it for just £20 returnable deposit, so it's not going to cost you. If you don't like it, then, it's not cost you anything.
How long can I hire one for?
3 weeks.
Wow, so that's enough to get through the latest blockbuster, isn't it?
Yeah, and the slight difference with the e-books, you can decide how long you want to download them for, so you can have 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. And then when you bring your e-reader back, they just get wiped off and the next person can have a clean e-reader tomorrow.
Whose idea was it then to actually offer these? Because it seems that no other council in the UK has actually got this far yet. You offer now the complete solution. It's not just about the books. You've actually got a reader to read them on as well. It sounds like a fantastic idea, and feel free to nominate a person if you like, but was it a specific department initiative, or did somebody just come up with the idea to do it?
It was our idea because, we wanted to make sure as many people could benefit from this as possible, and we didn't want to exclude people because they didn't have e-readers or they had Kindles which they wouldn't be able to use. So it's just another way of people accessing our services, which is what libraries are all about. Exactly.
And, I know especially from my hometown over in Merseyside that there are lots of local government cuts impacting library services. Is this seen as a really good way of continuing to offer a library service, no matter, I guess, what happens to the physical venues themselves? Because, ultimately, I hope the idea is that most people will actually take books on e-readers, won't they? And so, the idea of actually visiting a library itself, I guess, will diminish anyway.
Well, we're having that to a certain extent anyway because of developing online services. So people can renew the books online, they can join online, they can book our PCs online, they still need to come in and use them. But it's just, the way of the world and the way it's going. But people are still reading, however you do that, whether you actually have a physical book in your hand or whether you have 5 copies of something on a tiny little e-reader, people are still reading. I think that's the message to get across, that libraries can evolve and embrace new technology and not be frightened of, the ways that people are accessing books.
Sarah Curran there, Libraries Manager for Trafford Council, and the new e-reader initiative that literally puts ebooks in the palm of your hand. Now, I don't know about you, but I am particularly disorganised. It's 25 to 6 and I was planning on recording this show at about 8 o'clock this morning. Now, if there is an example or a reason of why we need to get ourselves into shape, it's modern life. Everything distracts us. The web is there. We're on this, we're on that. We can't even watch TV without reading our tablets or checking out our mobile phones or updating our Facebooks. So it's great to have people working on a new way of us digesting and producing calendars. Now, Evan Agard is Communications Manager for Timely, time.ly, and they've created a fantastic new plugin that I think will open the door to communities being able to let people know all about their events, hopefully make things a bit more consistent and really revolutionise calendars as we know them today. So without further ado, I'm going to talk to Evan Agard right now, and let's find out about this man of the moment.
In apps.
Evan, good morning to you. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. It's getting to the end of mine. It's the start of yours, just to rub that in.
That's right. Anything you can tell me from the future? Is anything going to happen?
I can tell you that this weekend the clocks are going to stop and go back precisely 60 minutes in your country.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so anything we do in that hour won't actually count or exist.
Do you know what? Already I want to read your blog. I don't even know if you've got one, but please will you write one for the sake of humanity, because we need to hear your words. This would be awesome. What's your background, man, then, before you kicked off with Timely? Where have you been?
Well, let's see. I've actually been in sort of startups and media production for about 7 years now, and I originally started a company out of university that was sort of like a YouTube production company. It was right around the time when YouTube really took off, so video was a big deal. I went to school for film, so coming out of that, and everyone was talking about digital video, so I got into that in a big way, and did a company in Toronto for a little while. And that sort of took off and became quite successful. But eventually I decided it was sort of time to look for other avenues, and went traveling for a while. Went to South America for about a year and a half. And I was just traveling around there, and then came back here, decided I would try the west coast of Canada for a change, and ended up hooking up with these guys at Timely, and really liked what they were trying to do, because it's a real problem that we're trying to solve, which is the problem of too many calendars, and trying to figure out how to link calendars together so that so you're never left with that situation of what's going on, what's happening today, and having to check 10 or 12 different event calendars in your community.
Well, I tell you what, I appreciate the life story. I imagine it was slightly abbreviated, but nonetheless, I find it amazing what you've achieved, and you're only 19.
29, actually.
I'll tell you what, even so, that's pretty good going, Evan. I've got to say, it's incredible. No, I really like Timely because I came across it. I looked at the site. First impressions count. It looks very professional. You've done your intro video. Everything works. I see you've got some great partners already who are using this stuff. And then I had to sit down because genuinely, I don't know, and this is not the platform to discuss the revenues, the business targets, and all the rest of it. I don't know how you put this together free, because it's probably one of the top 3 most professional looking and feeling plugins for WordPress.
Yeah, it's well, you're absolutely right. We do get that question quite a lot, which is, what is your business model? And we are venture-backed at the moment, and basically it's a little bit weird. I think people sort of scratch their heads when they say, how do you have a business model off a plugin alone? And to that, I think the response is that if you look at WordPress and how it's influenced the overall web right now, how it's influencing the overall web, you have a dominant platform here that's probably got a toehold on just a little bit over 20% of the entire online population of websites, of blogs. I think it makes up something like 49% or 50% of the top 100 blogs in the world right now are on WordPress in one way or another. Some major news organizations like CNN, TechCrunch, I think Gawker. I might be wrong about that, but I think Gawker. They're on WordPress VIP. So as a content management system, it's been adopted by huge companies all over the world, as well as small, medium-sized bloggers and everyone else in between. So it makes sense now to start looking at business models surrounding just this platform.
What blows my mind is you are virtually, and I'm not sure at what point in your life it swings from digital native to somebody who's kind of lived through traditional into the digital era. But I don't know if you remember the days of kind of conjuring up some kind of website magic using a notepad and HTML, bare naked HTML, pre-Dreamweaver. And now, I don't know when that quantum shift happened, Evan, but you look around now and you're so right. It's like everything on the basic level has become so much easier. Literally anybody can jump into WordPress, providing they've got some web space, and create a site for their business, for their mission, for their message, for their mantra, whatever it is. There's nothing stopping anybody anymore. You've got Squarespace. If you're even dumber than that. I think it's amazing that you've provided people, because let me explain a little bit about, drop back to why I first wanted to find out more about Timely. In today's society, I think we're ever more challenged to somehow be in the right place at the right time, and at the same time people are scrambling to provide the information that people need to be there at that right time. And Timely does is just make it so easy for the provider to connect with the recipient and to actually kind of match needs to expectations. It rocks what you do. It's so, I wouldn't say easily customizable, but with a little bit of practice you can get there and pretty much mold it to whatever website design you've got. Can you give us a bit of I don't know if you can do this because it's quite difficult in a radio set, but you perhaps give me an idea as to the process that a web developer would have to go to actually get this set up, to start displaying events and start helping those people be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's actually a very easy process, as most plugin installation is with WordPress. You've got the plugin directory, which WordPress is connected into. Now, there's obviously two types of WordPress, right? There's WordPress.com, which is the WordPress hosted site, which is basically sort of set up the site through WordPress. It's hosted off their servers. And they really only give you access to a certain number of plugins that are compatible and fully functional and bug free and whatnot. And then there's the WordPress hosted or the self-hosted, which people can download and host off their own servers. And those are the ones we're aiming for, because the WordPress.com is sort of for the more basic users. But with the WordPress self-hosted, all you would have to do is go into the plugin directory right through the dashboard, the back-end dashboard of WordPress. And then you can just search for all-in-one plugin or all-in-one event calendar. And it's the first one that comes up. You can grab it, you just download it that way, install it, and it's pretty much ready to go. You'll just have to do a quick setup on it to say, which page you want to put the calendar on and which view you want to put the calendar into, because it has a number of different views that you can use, like agenda, which is sort of typical, the sort of typical grid layout of the calendar. We've also got a really interesting view that we've designed and come up with on our own called Poster Board, which creates sort of it's almost like a community bulletin board of your events. And that's really interesting, because that's one of the things that we're really trying to do with calendars in general, is look at them with a totally new sort of eye and figure out, okay, we've had this same style of calendar for hundreds of years. And frankly, they're kind of looking at a calendar right now on a website or even on a fridge or on your wall. It's kind of boring. You don't get a lot of information from that sort of style, that grid sort of layout. So we're looking at different ways that we can present event information. And in fact, in version 1.9, which is coming out in a couple of weeks, we've got a new view called Stream View, which sort of arranges your events almost in sort of like a Twitter style stream.
Oh.
So you can sort of go through your events that way.
I like the fact that you allow people to embed Google Maps. I mean, this is great because it's not just important to be there. You need to actually know where there is. You integrate Facebook. There's just so many different... I mean, all of this stuff is on the Timely website at time.ly. Got to make that absurdly clear because it's quite difficult to find if you weren't going to use Google, which most people, let's face it, do. Although I have to tell you, Evan, I still come across people, even to this day, who Google, and, you know, we say that's like an urban myth, and yet it still happens, which is disturbing. But, you know, you've got this great stuff. You've got a blog up there which kind of updates people. 1.9 coming up, which I'm really excited about because, as you know, I've got a couple of projects up my sleeve that I want to share with people as they emerge. And this is something that I want to talk to you about separately once we've stopped talking on the line for Talknology. But I tell you what, I want to move across very swiftly, Evan, if I can, and partly because I want to say your surname and make a complete mess of it, because yours is the only surname I've ever come across that's got more A's in it than Aardvark. So how do we go with that? Is it Agard or Agard?
Agard, you got it. Yep.
Evan Agard for the communications.
That's the product of Norwegian grandparents.
I thought I felt close to you. Now I realise why. That makes a lot of sense. So, Agard, that's cool. Now, tell me a little bit about your geeky background, because, well, actually, let me hit you with this. Right now on Talknology, because we are on the very first day of November right now, we have just launched our Geek Gift Giving guide to help those relatively normal listeners to understand what kind of presents they should be lining up for the geeks in their life come Christmas Day. So tell me first, Evan, I mean, you know, we've had quite a few weeks in the tech scene. There's been everything everywhere come out, literally, and I don't mean the new 4G service here in the UK, buy everything everywhere. I'm talking Apple, Google, Microsoft, you name it. Is there anything right now that has piqued your fancy, or if somebody suddenly decided to drop $500 on you, what would you like them to go for?
In terms of just like a fun gadget or something.
Yeah, it's got to be fun.
Software. I think there's some really interesting things happening, obviously, with tablets right now. I mean, that's always been on fire, or at least it has been in the last couple of years, with Surface coming out from Microsoft, and then you've got Apple coming out with the new 7-inch iPad. I think what that's really signifying, and which is really going to be important to a ton of technology companies, ours included, is that this is just how people are accessing the web. You know, we would like to be able to serve that person who's going to be out there, you know, perhaps the library, the coffee shop, whatever, and they're thinking, what's on today? And they just pop open their iPad and they scroll through a calendar and choose an event and add it to their calendar, and it's all just sort of a drag drop, you know, sort of style, and it just seems really seamless to them. So I think the mobile fact that's out there, I think everyone should have some device on them right now that connects them to that mobile level of the web, I think, because that's really important, especially if you're going to be starting a business in it, so that you understand that. So yeah, I mean, personally, I would probably love to. I would actually like to get a new iPhone. I've got a decrepit iPhone 3GS right now that's just struggling along. So I really need to update that. That would probably be my first thing that I would get. And then after that, I would probably look at some of the new the tablet technology out there. That's
the trouble, though, isn't it? Because so many of us these days want the latest and greatest stuff. Comes with it is a huge bank debt. Yeah. Very few of these things are actually available for $49.95. And I think that's one of the benefits, but at the same time, one of the disadvantages. When you get it, you know you have to covet it, because there ain't another one coming along for at least the next century. Interesting stuff. I like the way that you kind of melded as well timely into the mobile arena. I especially agree with you there, is that it's so important that you're on the move. You need to have access to stuff all the time. And we expect that these days. Tell me, Evan, your technical background then, before you came here, you told us reams of stuff about what you'd done before you arrived at Timely. What do you say kind of almost helped you become the 29-year-old guy that you are today, in terms of, you know, what would you say were the pivotal moment that you discovered that you wanted to work within the tech industry? Was there one thing or one place you worked or one place you visited that kind of made you realize that actually I want to work in the computer space and this is where I want to be?
Yeah, it's. I think I could probably sum that up as just the excitement of disruption. Yeah. It's the feeling that you're shaking some old way of doing things up, and that's what I really loved with my first company when we were doing video and we were looking at, wow, like what if Hollywood is no longer king? What if a bunch of average guys in their basement can now make something that goes on the web and becomes popular and gets millions of views, on YouTube or something. And similarly with this space, with the calendar space, which is one of those things that I think a lot of people have overlooked, because you think calendar and I think it's almost synonymous with boring. It just doesn't have that ring to it that people really think about. So, and yet it's such a huge problem right now that I think everyone experiences. So it's that thrill of disrupting something old and sort of forgotten about or just stale that people haven't really thought of new ways of doing.
Maybe you're doing to calendars what AOL is hoping to do to email with its new Alto venture, this web-based email client that kind of focuses on organising our inboxes. Maybe that's exactly what Timely is doing with calendars, just disrupting the space to make for a better tomorrow. So impressed to talk to you, Evan Agard, from a communications manager, should we say, from timelytime.ly. Let me just throw out some contact points as well. @_timely on Twitter and facebook.com/timelycal. Not forgetting time.ly on the webs. Evan, thank you for joining us today on Technology. You've been an absolute blast. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
You've made it this far. That was Evan Agard from time.ly, and I'm sure you're going to hear much more about that disruptive influence in the next few weeks and months. You've been listening to Talknology. It is the 1st of November 2012, 17:37, but that's because I recorded this bit before you listened to the other bits, so it makes sense that it's actually ahead of time. If you're in the US, don't forget to turn your clocks back next week, because, or should I say the weekend, and then you'll be able to get that hour back that you spent listening to me. I'll recommend it. And yeah, anything you want to find out about Talknology, get over to talknology.org. If you have questions about tech, anything in tech, from music all the way to tablets, to smartphones, to the computers, the apps that power our lives, that's what I'm here for, and that's what I want to talk to you about. So get over to talknology.org, ask a question, or you can ping me on Twitter @Dave Thackeray. Get over to facebook.com/talknology, or just drop me a very informal email at dave@talknology.org. That'll do for now. It's a wrap for Talknology today, and I'm really excited about talking to you again tomorrow, because this is a daily tech talk show. Until then, have a good one.